Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of San Antonio by Night, episode 13. So, here we are. Last we left off, the member of the coterie called the host, Urian Doyle, had some personal affairs that he was taking care of, such as hosting what is known as a black mass for new recruits to his little cult that he's fostering. And when the mass was over and he and his friends started to clean up the venue, he was greeted by an old foil of his, one that's kind of been a thorn in his side for as long as he's been in the city, really. Father Tyson Trent, a local pastor to one of the Catholic churches in San Antonio. Dressed in normal garb, he presented himself and was more or less making Urian aware that he was keeping an eye on his activities. And so Urian, how did visiting with Tyson make you feel that night?
I would rather end up having to speak with him on his own terms, on his own turf. Why he decided to end up coming out into the middle of the night, well, if it were not for particulars and knowing full well that I would probably have to end up explaining, okay, he came to a black mass and was, well, dispatched. Well, what could I really say? He was overtaken by Satan himself. No, no. I find him a thorn as he's concerned, justified or not, does not end up helping with my intentions. The more Tyson Trent, the good father, continues to end up coming to be a thorn in my side and tries to end up dissuading my own flock, well, the more I need to end up considering my approach to things. It is more difficult to deal with kind than it is kindred. Kindred, there are rules, there are particular things that must be abided by. Kind, much less so. After all, they kill each other for sport.
They do on occasion, where many kindred would argue that they only kill out of necessity and out of.
Let us be honest, it is out of power.
Mm,
They cannot wait for the opportunity to consume one another. You'll find that all over the anarchs. Well, I have my own tastes about it.
of course. And then there's our good friend Tom, who has been absent from the coterie house for the last day or so, tending to his own business, I'm sure. Tom, what have you been up to lately?
I've Tom has been uh like you said, taking care of his business. He wanted to go and check up because he was gone a couple of like a day or two, so he wants to be sure that it's right. And just to get out of the house, just get breathing air. So, but he didn't feel like staying away too long, so now he's coming back.
Okay. So that is where we will pick up. Uh, Urian and Tom, will you both give me rouse checks, please? Mm, the beast is getting a little antsy in your stomach, Tom, as you awake and make your way towards, I'm assuming, the Coterie house, yes?
Yes.
To meet back up with your new companion, Urian.
Yes. Uh, I wonder what he has been up to. But yeah, I have had my own business to take care of for the last day. You never know what that man can do in a day.
Mm, you never know. Always, always machinations in the world of Kindred, as you've come to realize lately.
Hmm.
So, we are going to have you all. You arrive at the Coterie house, Tom, in a fairly quick fashion. Your haven's not terribly far by vehicle, so um, so you do have the ability to get there fairly quickly. So, what is it you do? You plan to go into the house or?
I stop a little bit away and make my way on foot up to the house. And as a polite notice, I knock on the door. I am not aware whether or not I received a key.
Nope,
Okay.
I haven't earned that one yet.
Urian, you do hear that knock on the door.
Currently, it's at that point slight frustration ends up leaving his throat as he ends up yeah, closing something. It sounds like a book heavily. He hears footsteps towards the door. When he finally opens it, he just screams, "What? Oh, dear doctor, sorry. You've caught me in my studies and in opportune time. Oh,
I apologize. Is there anything I can help you with?
uh, with no offense meant to be given, dear doctor, if you could aid me in this, I would be pleasantly surprised. But please do come in. It's getting
Thank you.
colder outside. Have you come alone?
Yes, I have. I didn't feel the need to. He had some stuff to do.
Ah, what a shame. He
Hmm.
seemed to be an individual of great taste. He closes the door behind Tom, throws the latch, kind of looks him up and down. It's very clear I'm pretty sure you're in shorter than Tom at this point. Kind of looks
Yeah.
him over. Well, I do apologize for the mess. You can see on the tablecloth's been removed, and now it seems to be scribbling in chalk various circles, various versions of the pentagram you have seen him use, but you could see one that looks like the center circle was about to be finished, and then the streak suddenly goes like completely errant. And the piece of chalk is laying there on the table, broken in half.
Does it look like that's been done just now, or
You're pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
yeah?
And
I do apologize for interrupting you in your work. Uh, but
It
I
is
didn't
what
want
it
to stay
is.
away for too long, so I thought you might miss me if I was gone too long. I had my clinic to look up to check up on.
Of course, Doctor, of course. Ah, he kind of grabs
How
the
has your day
tablecloth.
been? You looked a little frustrated.
Oh, tis study. The particulars of my lineage require a great deal of focus. It requires an understanding and a certain degree of open mindedness. Not too much, though. Still,
Uh,
it's been a lot of
well,
circle practice.
yeah, I can see. I had to have had a very open mind to everything these past months. So, and I can see that you have knowledge that I don't possess. He looks down at the whole circle and cult thing.
Well, he pulls up his tablecloth and slides it back over his work. He doesn't even hide the or wipe down the chalk. He just kind of pulls it over and picks up a book that was on the chair. Looks like an older tome, like pages are yellowing and what have you. Oh well. Tis tis a good evening. He puts it into a book bag which he slings over his shoulder. I have to admit I am finding myself a little bit short of temper lately. Must be something in the air.
Hmm.
Not enough sun, perhaps. Yes.
Yeah, about that. I can imagine. Do you ever get used to it, not having the sun?
I. He thinks about it for a second. Every day I think of it. I'm going to
Hmm.
need to roll a subterfuge check at that point.
If you want to, Tom, you can roll a wits insight.
Okay. Oh, it was that
So skill first, then it gives a pop-up menu for the trait.
Mm.
inside and wits.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You're the insider, so up to CoffeeCat. Which would you call as the defender, or which is the aggressor in this case?
The insider would be the aggressor in this case. If you're trying to keep him from
Okay.
seeing something specific, he's one in this particular case.
Okay. I would say, Tom, he's not saying it because he means it. It's more like he's trying to reference what somebody else would have said.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I do think about it.
You're still
So,
young. If you didn't, I would be shocked.
hmm, yes. So, I am. How do you? I have to ask. How do you manage your hunger? I'm. Yeah. It's very gnawing at you.
I read. I cheat the chat. I involve myself in small projects. Most importantly, I keep myself diligent. While idle hands are the devil's plaything, they don't serve me quite so well in that function.
Yeah, distractions.
Yes, and one of my favorite is dealing with uh, fledglings such as yourself.
Hmm. I can see how someone like me can be a big distraction. Um, but I hope I'm not distracting you too much for your
I think
important.
no. It's quite alright. Is that if you are coming for answers, I will do all I can.
Thank you. So, what have you been up to the last day?
Oh, not a whole lot. Small gatherings of kind are amusing from time to time, and I find myself recently trying to reach out back into, give back to my community, as it were. I also find myself doing a lot more reading. More specifically, just coming to grips with the big questions, as they were. Um, Maybe someday I will sit upon your couch, Doctor.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. You never know. But right now, I feel I'm on yours.
It is here for a reason, and I have made efforts to give you whatever information and guidance I can. You are not the first, and certain elements willing, probably not the last.
Mhm.
Still, you were mentioning something about hunger. Have you
Yes.
fed?
Not today. I I I felt that, yeah, something gnawed at me on my way here, and yeah, I felt I needed to do something soon.
I imagine so. Still,
Yeah.
you're cognizant. That is a good sign. I think it is a good time to go and see. How do you hunt, Tom? He starts walking towards the door.
That was one of the reasons I set up the practice, where I had a stable feed.
Well, I suppose that would make sense. And yet you find yourself peckish. It is a skill to always keep sharp, regardless of where you go, regardless of who you know. You will always eventually have to go back to hunting.
Hmm. Yeah,
So it's best to get good at it early.
that is exactly it. What advice can you give on hunting?
The first is whoever's domain it is that you hunt in, be sure to get their permission first.
Hmm.
If you were to miss that, they might consider that a slight, and then they have to make an example. Unfortunately, some individuals think that this is a step to be skipped, but anarchs are very territorial in that regard. And if you do not reinforce the idea, then more people can keep coming and trying to end up feeding on your own turf. So it is in their best interest to make examples frequently and early.
Mhm. I completely understand.
I'm sure you do.
That was also the example you mentioned. I remember something about, but yeah, I will take that into advisement. But
But
in my own little place, I assume I can do what I what I well what I can, right? I assume.
you'd think that, but that depends on whose turf you're in.
Mm.
Some will say, so long as you keep it in your house, then it is not my concern. Others will say, your house is in my turf, so it is my concern. It depends on the individual. Anarchy tends to be lacking in general structure by design.
I can see why were ner- they were nervous about me expanding or moving too fast.
Well,
Why they sent me here to you to put me, I don't know, put me in my place or to make me slow down.
if I wish to end up putting you in your place, and that was the end goal, it would have been done by now. But that doesn't serve anybody outside of one's ego. I will teach you. In return, I will request a small service.
Of course.
Mm.
What service do you normally ask for?
One asks for blood. I think it is only right that it involves blood.
Mm,
The sanguine wine we all must cherish. Well, not all of us are so adept, and I have found myself a particular inkling of taste. One that is debased, even amongst kindred standards. But that is for another time. At this point, I hunger, but my curiosity is more important right now. So,
so
he unlocks the door. Shall we be off?
Tom follows out.
Okay. So, he goes towards the van, checks it as usual.
Mm.
You want me? I have a car nearby. You want me to follow you?
I think for this particular point, it would be more accurate to say you would want to. Well, if you're
Okay.
not afraid, then by all means, if you think it'll help. I
Well,
usually suggest fewer vehicles, less suspicion. But if
no,
you
I agree.
feel,
I agree. I will come with you.
well, I would
You
hope
are
so.
a sensible man. He says that like, yeah. That might not be completely true, but
Doctor, the first thing is simple. Remember whose feeding ground this is.
hmm?
Do you know whose feeding ground this is?
Right here, this would be yours.
Yes. Allow me to express to you the actual size of this particular turf. While we do so, we shall hunt. We may have to do it several times, in fact, but I will guide you every step of the way. And if anything goes wrong, well, he opens up the back of the van and lifts out the false floor where you would normally keep a spare tire. Instead, it's just a whole bunch of plastic bags and hacksaws. You get an idea very quickly that Urian
Yeah.
is prepared for a lot of contingencies.
let's hope we don't have to go that far.
I would hope
But
not.
yeah, I assume you don't like to be messy.
You would assume correctly. The more mess on my own turf, the more I have to clean up, the more I'm distracted from my own endeavors, and round it goes. When you get your own place, when you get your own small chunk of the of the city, you'll come to realize it's something to be cherished, and something oftentimes individuals try and, well, try and ignore. To their own peril, I assure you.
Yeah,
With that,
priorities has definitely changed this new.
you have no idea. Urian shuts the doors and starts up the engine after he's done his quick search.
Yep. Same as most other days, there is nothing to find. And so you both enter the vehicle and you start to drive through the streets of the city.
I am specifically pointing out to Tom. Like, I drive to the outskirts of it and I start to just kind of drive around to get him acquainted with where the boundaries are.
Hmm.
While we end up doing that, Tom, is there a particular flavor or a particular method of which you go about hunting so far?
Well, I have just been sticking to the practice, sipping a little bit from where the people wouldn't notice, or my clients, and trying to, well, there is something though. I do seem to, they do seem to want to come back a lot. Like almost like they are, uh, like I'm a drug or something.
Mm, well, that would not be inaccurate to say. Hold on. Urian parks the car temporarily and reaches into the glove box and pulls out like this gigantic sharpie. The head of it is at least an 8-inch thick. Give me one moment. He steps out and just kind of takes a quick look and quickly draws something. I'm not sure if you care or not, but he draws something on a wall that it can be seen, but it's not big enough for anybody to care unless you know what you're looking for. And kind of just claps it, comes back in the car, starts up.
Can Tom get a quick look at that or check out what it is? He is very curious what Urian does.
Urian, what exactly are you doing?
Urian has drawn in a very quick manner a pentagram.
Hmm.
But there's one thing that's off. The down point doesn't meet the circle. It actually goes past it by like 2 inches.
Hmm.
So it's a very unique style of pentagram, but it is clearly a pentagram.
Would I even know what a pentagram is?
I imagine you know that it's a inverted,
Mm,
or you know that it's an upside down pentagram. I'm not sure if you would know if it's a Wiccan symbol or the inverse of its meaning or how it was adopted by the Christian faith. That would require a lot of occult or a little bit of occult knowledge, but
yeah, because that's exactly it. That Tom has no knowledge any occult.
You might
well,
know the name of the shape, but you won't know its meaning.
Yeah. So What did you just?
Mm. Well, it was either
If
that
you
or...
don't mind me asking. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's quite alright. It's either that or I'm pissing on walls.
Mm, okay. Like, almost like setting up your turf, like a cat urinates.
Yes, something akin to that. Not every anarch knows everything. He gestures towards the point. Depending on the rotation of that sign, if you're smart enough, you might end up noticing that that points towards where I most commonly lurk. So if you are looking for permission, you can come place it. I have placed those signs everywhere. If just very few pay attention nor care. Part of our problem is that many of us have to... How do I put this?
Whatever that we want to do, or whatever they want, they don't care about it. What the fuck?
Well, we can't be clear with our intentions. It would be wonderful if I could leave an instruction manual, but then I'd be letting other people in on the joke.
Exactly.
Now, you were telling me about you've been feeding on individuals and they keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of individuals are we looking for? Are you into
We are
blondes, brunettes,
well. We are looking.
serial killers? It's all the same to me.
Oh, do anyone really have that particular taste or flavor?
It is all about the flavor. Spice of life. Quite literally.
I think my flavor would probably be patience.
He thinks about that for a minute. Well, if that is the case, I am going to assist Tom in a hunting role.
All right. So, Tom, how do you plan to go about this?
Well, he is right now. Tom is like is very outside his. He's outside his like normal where he normal hunts. So he would probably, if there are some kind of smaller practice or some uh, little hospital or something where people might be leaving or something.
Well,
Uh,
you both know of the big hospital district just north of Durian's domain, which is part of the University of Texas, the
mhm.
research hospital there. It's a big hospital complex that researches everything from new drugs to cancer research to just about everything. And so you know that that is there. As far as smaller clinics go, you know that there is an urgent care Urian near where your domain is, but it's not likely to be open at this hour.
It also doesn't help that it is not in my domain and I'm refused to exit mine.
The urgent care is in your domain, but the big hospital
Okay.
complex is not.
Hmm. Well, might as well take a drive by, see what's up.
All right. Then Urian, you know exactly where it is. You have plenty of knowledge of this particular domain. You it's actually fairly close to the mall where your domain's center sits. Um, and you go by there, and the The urgent care itself seems to have very few cars in the front. What you do see across the street is the big bus center that is there, and you do see people who are waiting for the nighttime buses. So there, you know that that exists. But the urgent care itself seems to be closed at this hour.
Well, heading over there, I park the van a significant way away, and I look to Tom, then look to the bus station.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're most likely to end up finding one here, more than anything. I can look out or assist if you so wish, or I can just have somebody delivered.
Let me. So, how how would you normally go about it if it was you that needed to feed this?
Honestly, for me, it's usually. He stops to think about this. Find one. Find just one. Either
Mm-hmm.
someone isolated or someone you can isolate. Bring them to a place that most will not find and feed. There are several who go out of their way to bring the prey back to their haven. There are others who have an out of the way space already set up. There are some who will apply for sex or narcotics. Others who will just say, I need a drink after this. Others will do small chat. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time for such things. I simply find someone, put them in a compromised position, and feed.
Okay.
Take what I will. The feeding process itself muddles memory. It's like trying to remember while high on acid. And certain things don't quite add up. But still, you wish to be careful.
Yes.
And
The
with your
macerator.
yes,
Yeah. So let's see. So Tom will move over to will leave the van and move over to the bus.
Okay. Are you looking to kind of jump somebody like you're mugging them? Are you looking to seduce them
No,
into a private
I
area?
am. I would. I would probably like to activate awe
Okay.
to get someone's attention. Uh, Someone that looks a bit like uh, someone that might be a little, I don't know, unstable, or someone that I know could have uh, is undergoing some treatment or something, some kind of mental,
Okay.
maybe have some mental issues.
All right. Then I would say that because you are being very specific about the kind of person that you're looking for, I am
Mm-hmm.
going to increase the difficulty by one.
Okay.
And it is going to be a manipulation plus subterfuge plus one for Urian's help.
Okay. Manipulation plus substitute plus one.
Okay. Tom, high or low?
Uh, Hi.
So, kind of looking around, and the the area is there's very few people who are here to begin with. But it seems like every person that you're coming across is either in a pair or eventually walks towards someone and greets them. You're
Mm-hmm.
finding no real opportunity to separate someone and uh, and keep them away for long enough for you to feed,
Mm-hmm.
except for one man. You see, this person is a little disheveled.
Okay.
He has kind of reddish black hair, kind of dark complected. Seems to be alone. No one's coming towards him. No one's really engaging him. He seems to be watching things.
Hmm.
He seems to just be watching things. Seems like he's waiting for a bus, maybe. You're not entirely sure.
Okay. I stand there a little bit, trying to read him a little bit better. What is he looking at people? Is he looking down the street, or what exactly does it look like looking for?
He's kind of looking around the bus station, but also kind of looking at his watch, kind of
Like
looking
he's waiting for something.
like he's waiting for something.
Okay. So I will go up to him and just casually say hello.
Spectre, would you like to say hello?
Benji looks up at Tom, kind of flashes him like this up down look, and he just nods. That casual kind of nod, like, hey, what's up?
Oh,
Uh,
what are you doing? You look like someone that's looking for someone.
Something like that.
Hmm.
Are you looking for something? He starts approaching Tom, and as he gets closer, Tom, how tall are you?
Tom is 6'2".
Oh, um, this guy is rough, looks like the same height as you, but much stockier build. As
Hmm.
it gets closer to you, you notice he's like underneath this leather jacket with studs on it. Um, he's just kind of really beefed. He's got
Oh,
his hood up, um, and he seems to be exuding this kind of aggressive atmosphere.
okay. I still have my all up, right? So
You do.
Uh,
okay.
is that the case? Okay.
Yeah. I Well, is there any tell signs that that says that you are there is another kindred, or
Tom, do you have sense the beast?
no? I do not.
So unless Benji's making obvious signs that he is kindred, you can't
Yeah.
tell.
Okay. So hmm. Well, he does look like someone that Tom would definitely not mess with in terms of physical strength, since Tom is so fragile, or not very strong. Uh, but yeah. So What are you? What were you? Sorry, what were you waiting for?
Well, guess I could say I was looking for some friends.
Some friends.
Yeah.
What kind of friends?
Well, some folks who, I don't know, like to see something good. Into betting?
Me?
Sports? Yeah.
Not not personally. I've never. No.
No?
No.
That's a shame.
No. I mean, I've been very busy with my work.
Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah. I run a practice for a psychology practice.
Oh, it's a psychologist.
Well, also a doctor, but yeah.
Yeah, you know how to help people?
I try.
Try. You know any medical stuff? Like patching
Mm-hmm.
people up?
Yeah.
Where you from?
Not around here.
Tom, I'd like you to make a manipulation plus subterfuge if you're being purposefully hiding it.
Okay. Manipulation and subterfuge.
Yep.
How would I roll against that? If I
That
can.
would be a wits plus insight, and you would click on the dice next to insight first,
Hmm.
and the drop down box you put wits.
Oh, okay.
No modifiers for either of you.
Boop, 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 boop.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Tom, that.
bestial crit.
Yep. Tom, for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, this guy's asking way too many questions. This guy's getting real personal, and you do not like it.
Mm-hmm.
He is asking far too personal questions for someone you just met on the street. You don't know who this guy is. He's big and beefy, but you can take him, right?
No. Well, no.
It's a
So.
kind. What's he gonna do? Shoot you?
Yeah, he's kind. What is he gonna do?
Hmm. Well, I think I would probably I have to be somewhere else. So, you know, I
Benji
hope you can
stops him.
find someone. I hope you can find someone that is interested in betting.
No. Wait, man. Wait. Hold up.
Benji,
Where you going?
when he says this to you, this is in a very angry tone, and he is incredibly frustrated at you. This guy, this guy is being super shady. He came up to you. What the fuck does he want?
Precisely. Benji just like starts grabbing at Tom to stop him, yanks on his coat, blazer, what have you. He's like, "Whoa, man, whoa, hey, Gringo, where you going?
Hey, leave me alone.
Oh, come on, big man now,
I
huh?
turn my head and see if I can catch if I can spot urine somewhere.
Ian, where are you
Yeah.
when this is going on?
Well, he is supposed to be keeping watch, so I suppose. But, there's also this bit where I kind of want to see what he can do.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You're in over here being
And
an instigator.
So,
and
wait,
I promised I would help him feed, and now he's got a kind literally grabbing onto him. I mean, all they need to do is get a room, and the job's done. I mean, he's literally at the 1 yard mark.
Mm.
Why would I interrupt this?
Mm.
For all I know, this bait and switch thing is how he feeds. Let's find out. Is he being clever or is he being stupid?
All right.
so 2 seconds. I'm looking something up.
Hmm.
But yeah, Tom,
Okay.
he's grabbing at your coat.
Yeah. I. Well, there is a lot of people nearby, right?
There's a few.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I like call out, hey, stop touching me. To try and get eyes on what's going on.
Okay. Then I would like you to roll. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. I would like you to roll a charisma or manipulation plus performance. You're trying to put on an act to try and get someone to get their eyes on you.
Charisma or
Or,
or intelligence
or manipulation.
or manipulation. Okay. Any modifications? They are nearby or anything?
Nope. A couple of eyes do catch what's going on. Let's see. Let's see who will respond, if there's going to be any responses. And it kind of looks like there's someone who is going to come over to see what's going on, and
Mm-hmm.
and notices that Benji is kind of grabbing at you, and kind of shouts as well, "Hey, what are you doing? What's going on here?"
Benji shouts back immediately. Don't worry about it, hombre. We're just talking for a sec. We got some dealing to do. Mind
I
you,
at that
mind you.
at that point I try to step away from it. Let Benji rip the coat if or the suit if need be.
Okay, Benji, are you gonna try and keep your hold on his clothing right now?
Nah, but Benji is gonna follow him. He's kind of gonna trail after Tom no matter how fast he speed walks. And he's gonna see if he can kind of push him towards an alley or something. Just gently, via instigation. Or
Oh,
not gently.
okay.
There is a strange little blonde man who is currently quote unquote minding his own business, letting this unfold. The second it starts to go into seclusion though, and he's sure that none of the kind are currently following, he'll well, can't let Tom end up leaving a body. So
Hmm.
Tom, when you start to walk away, you notice that Benji is still following after you. He's let your clothing go. He's following after you, but there's that one person who was coming to help is still
Yeah.
calling after Benji and trying to run up to him, and Benji, this guy just kind of grabs your arm a little bit.
He turns to him with kind of a snap and he busts his presence and intimidates him to get him the fuck away.
Oh, you're using fucking daunt.
Yeah. He just flashes him the nastiest stink look.
Immediately, this guy just like stops in his tracks and just kind of kind of cowers a bit. Look, man, I'm. Look, okay, this is none of my business. I'm just gonna walk away. Okay, bye. Do you chase after
I
the person, or do you go after Tom?
Benji just kind of waves at him after he leaves and says, "Take care of yourself." A little bit of a threat, but also a little bit good-willed.
This guy looks like he's about to shit his fucking pants.
And then Benji turns back to Tom and
Tom at this
continues
point
hot
is
on.
now like 30, 50 feet away from you.
No. All right. He just starts speed walking after Tom, and he calls out to Tom, "Hey, hombre, don't you want to talk, Mr. Questions Man?"
I think Tom thinks, oh, I got a loony. I need to get out of here.
Isn't this what you were looking for?
Yeah, this is exactly what you're looking for, wasn't it?
Mm.
Not this time.
So what do you plan to do,
So
Tom?
I plan to well, I plan to move over toward where urine is.
Oh, Urian is he's gonna if
Oh,
he
I
realizes this, he's
mhm.
going to just start casually walking towards a back alley. Find some place that's a little bit more secluded, less likely to run into traffic, and well, if Tom wants to leave a body, well, very least it gives us some running room. It's not like Urian was the one that was spotted
Hmm.
or on security footage.
All right.
So, do I spot where urine is or
Oh, yeah, he's not hiding, he's just walking
okay?
away
He's
in a
walking.
very casual walking. Let's
Yeah,
get to an isolated location where we
yeah,
can
yeah.
end up having some fun.
Okay. So I will go there. Yes.
Real quick though, when I saw Benji snap at that kind, did it seem just a little bit out of place? I'm
Um.
basically asking, is it possible to roll an intelligence occult roll to figure out exactly what Ben just did?
Yeah, and I'm gonna do that versus Benji's manipulation plus subterfuge.
Do you want me to roll that?
Yes, please.
Eee.
How well were you able to keep it controlled enough that you could hide it?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, got a good chance at it. Got a good chance at hiding it.
Not
No,
good enough.
it is 100% one of those things that you're very familiar with. You know that kind of you've seen that kind of aura before.
Sound,
You've seen that
sound
kind of
like
response
Yeah.
from a kind before. This guy's definitely using something that made that guy nearly piss himself.
Love it. Well, one of us get fed anyway. So, Urian takes a moment, goes into goes into the alley, rests himself against the wall, just kind of pulls out a small ledger, just starts to write. So just take some notes. Really, it's just some musings to keep his hands busy, but the pencil might come into effect.
So Tom, you see Urian go down this alleyway.
Mhm.
What do you plan to do?
I plan to move down the alleyway to get this guy follow us there. Follow Tom there.
Okay.
Yeah,
And bet.
and it's at this point, if Tom comes even remotely close, he looks to Tom and
Mhm.
tells Tom, "Keep walking."
Mhm.
Benji, what do you do?
Benji follows. As far as he's concerned, Tom is just another kind. So he's just gonna follow Tom, and all the while expecting, oh boy, I'm gonna get into a fight. Oh yeah, you are, buddy.
All right. So, Urian, you're at the end of the alley, having given Tom the message to keep going.
So I should be at the opening of the alley. Tom walks past me.
Yes, like
So Benji, if Benji is following and fixated on Tom, should just pass me just as well. I'm just some weirdo with a book.
yep, you're a weirdo with a book.
Yeah, I will just. Where does this alleyway lead?
It leads to a dead end.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I move down to the dead end then.
So
Is there any
Tom,
doors going in anywhere?
not
Locked door.
not currently, not that you can see on this level. And
Mhm.
so, Tom, you enter into the alleyway and pass Urian, having gotten that keep going kind of look. And Benji, you're going into this alleyway. There's this short guy with a book in his hand? Question mark. That what does he matter? What does this guy matter? But as soon as Benji passes Urian, who is going to do what?
Yeah. Do you often use that on the breathing? He just makes casual mention as Benji walks by.
Benji stops, and then he looks over to this small white man. He squints in like fight me mode. Like, what did you just say to me?
He takes the pencil, pockets it, closes the book. Oh, I was just curious. It was a very good way to detract unwanted followers. Though I don't think we have been properly introduced.
Benji just kind of stares at Urian for a sec before turning to face him. It's like, oh yeah? Who are you?
My name is Urian Doyle. Call me the landlord of this particular neighborhood.
Benji, do you care about his name or?
Benji takes a note of it in his mind. Um, is there immediately any obvious symbols on Urian?
The only thing you would see on him is a very small pentagram on a brass chain around his neck.
Okay. He kind of makes a note of that.
Benji, roll me an intelligence plus streetwise.
Bum, bum, bum. Okay.
Okay. You have seen this. In fact, you've seen it. It's not just the pentagram is not what's significant. It's the fact that you've been seeing pentagrams in this area a lot lately. In fact, you kind of get the sense that maybe the two are connected, but you're not 100% sure. Who wears a fucking pentagram out anyway? Wiccans?
In Texas? Not likely. At least not around these parts. Benji just cocks his head. He's clearly and plainly curious. He's not the type to hide any sort of emotion that's going on in his brain. He extends hand out, and just sort of smirks at Urian. Pleasure. Name's Benji.
It is a pleasure to meet you, Benji. He grabs hold of Benji's hand.
There is an iron grip behind that hand.
Urian smiles a bit. You can feel this crushing weight. Like it's very clear Benji is very strong. Overpoweringly so, he's worried about, but we'll worry about that for another time. Benji. Has that name run across me at any point?
Roll an intelligence plus politics.
Well, that's a 6.
Yep, that's 6 successes. He's new. He's Brujah.
And Urian, maybe there was an instinct to pop his fangs as he has a bit of a chuckle to himself, almost like it was involuntary.
Kind of reminds you of some of the upstarts you met in Jackson.
Yeah. Well, now, Benji. New to San Antonio. Rabble rouser would explain the grip and the look.
I guess you could say that. Where are you from, Urian? What you about?
Oh, I've spent some time here and there. The last place outside of San Antonio is Jackson. He kind of looks, just to confirm, either Tom has kept walking or Tom has realized that this individual is no longer following him.
I am not sure how far from the it ends compared to where Urian
It ends about
was.
25 feet deep.
Okay, so but at that point where it stops, he will use his heightened senses to listen in.
All right.
And I have to assume you're already acquainted with the dear doctor, but yes, Jackson would be the last place. I roosted before I arrived here.
Oh, the doc? You mean that gringo I was following not too long ago?
Yes, green. Very much so. You look like you wanted to punch his lights out.
He's the one who started it.
Well, a simple mistake, I'm sure. He was simply looking for something to feed upon, and I guess you managed to unnerve him. Or maybe he just planned to bring you into this alley and have his way with you, not being aware of what you are.
That would have been a mistake.
Eh, perhaps on both your parts.
So, said something about this being your place, landlord business. What's that all about?
Mm. I make it a point to introduce myself and let myself be known by every one of our kind, wherever I end up finding them, especially when they are upon my own turf. I simply have a few rules that I ask people to follow. It's just a act of kindness, really. Just simply let me know you're here, and if you're to feed, ask my permission first. This is how I avoid further bodies piling up after all.
Benji puts his hands in his pockets, a little mischievously. Well, I'm here, but I'm not exactly here to feed.
Here to be what, Benji?
He just sort of grins. You want to find out?
What if I do?
Then you should follow me. And he just kind of with a little kick in his heels, starts walking towards the bar. The bar.
It is
Well,
quite a ways, Benji. It is on the other side of Delgado's domain. How are you going to get there?
I guess his intention was the bus initially.
So you start
Starts
making
heading.
your way back to the bus station?
Yeah.
he kind of looks to Tom,
Mm-hmm.
gives him a nod to follow along,
Okay.
starts walking with Benji. So you're trying to get to someplace else in the city,
That's right. That's right.
and you are waiting for someone?
Not necessarily. You ever heard of La Medianoche?
La medianoche.
Yeah, the midnight. It's just a bar uptown a bit.
Urian, if you want to know, that's intelligence streetwise.
Okay.
Not with your lane. You've heard of it? It's kind of shitty. Lots of people think of it as a really kind of crappy bar, but people still go there for some reason.
I have a suspicion. I'm about to find out why.
Mm.
But if that's the case, Benji, I could offer you a ride. Consider it repayment for your forwardness.
Oh yeah? Alright.
It's either that or you perhaps sprint at the 100 miles per hour the entire way, and that just looks bad on all of us.
Nah. It's part of my workout routine to run, but that's not what I like. Let's take the car. You drive?
On occasion.
Right?
And he will start leading toward Benji towards the van. And keeps an eye on. He's guessing Tom is trying to keep his distance on the off case. Benji decides to suddenly change his mind.
No, no. It seems like Tom been able to hear most of the conversation with
Yeah.
heightened senses.
With heightened senses, you would have had that as soon as you activated it. The rest of the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't
So
necessarily being
Tom
terribly quiet.
actually catches up a little bit. So he does not. I mean, he does keep a little bit distance to Benji since of the aggression Benji showed. So he's a little unsure, but he he thinks that it's fairly under control now.
And you're actively turning off your heightened senses when you approach the car?
Yes, I am. I have also turned off all.
Okay. Perfect. So all three of you are now at the vehicle. Urian driving, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Once they meet at the vehicle, Benji spots Tom, and he wraps his arm around Tom's neck and pulls him in, and it's just like, "Hey, gringo."
not as not so much as touchy. Let's just do the regular. Tom takes out his hand to give him a handshake.
Benji lets him go and shakes his hand as well.
Hmm. Sorry for the misunderstanding.
Not
To
so
be
scary
fair,
anymore.
I was tempted to just lean back and see how this played out.
Hmm. What are the chances?
Surprisingly large when you think about it. How many people in this city? What's its population?
If you want to know that, that is, I think, a couple million.
Yeah.
Million and a half?
So we have 1.5 million people. Now let us assume that only 1 in 10 are actually awake at night. So now we have 100,000 people. Now imagine a how many of them are actually open or out and about at night, right? Probably not even half. So now we only have 50 or 50,000. Now imagine we end up having those same groups. Probably means a good portion of them are collecting in smaller groups, bars and what have you. So there's large clusters. And now imagine how many kindred there are currently in the city, all hunting with the exact same idea.
Hmm.
It's not as far-fetched as you'd think.
No, apparently not.
It's simple mathematics.
Guess you could say
Yeah.
we're neighbors.
And with that, Urian ends up getting into the van. And if no one else is being angry about it, he takes one quick look around to see who's seen what. Obviously, his particular vision is kicking in.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a wits plus awareness right now.
Not the greatest skill, but I put a point into it, so at least I got a chance. Yay!
Everything seems normal. Everything seems to
Fantastic.
golden.
And we continue driving.
And that, I believe, is where we will take our break. Thank you all so much for watching so far. We will be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to San Antonio by Night. We are currently in a location that is new to Urian and to Tom, but very, very familiar to Benji. This is La Medianoche, the midnight, as some call it. This particular bar is a little unfinished in its aesthetic. It tends to look, it kind of tends to look like it has the ventilation pipes exposed. It has very dim lighting, but that's to be expected. It has very little in the way of decor. It's a simple wood floor, a simple wood bar. Looks like there's spirits of all kinds on the back shelf behind the bar, and it kind of looks like that is where most of the money in the bar is spent to create the best drinks. Maybe not the best aesthetic, but the best drinks on this side of the interstate. This little bar is nestled right at the tip of where Baron Batista and Baron Delgado's territories meet, at the north corner of Interstate 10 and Loop 410. So, for this to be as for this to be a strange aesthetic in a fairly upscale side of town would strike anyone who has a particular taste as odd. Tom, you're feeling a little bit uneasy about the aesthetic in this place. It looks unfinished, it's unkempt, and the patrons of the bar look even less so. It's starting to get under your skin a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. This is. I'm just looking around. Try not to be insulting, but I clearly feel like someone that doesn't like, and probably so.
To you, it definitely feels unnerving at the very least.
Yeah.
And the first thing that you notice when you walk into the front door is there is a man in a bandana and a big gray beard who greets you. And just kind of looks each of you up and down, kind of staring at Benji a little bit.
Hey man, what's going on?
Nothing.
Benji goes in.
What's going on with you?
Just bringing in some guests. And Benji goes in for like a handshake where they high five and then they pull in for kind of like a half hug, boofing into each other, and then.
And when you do so, it does with a fairly firm grip as well. Not nearly as strong as yours, but you know that this man has a lot of power behind him. And he looks to Tom and Urian and just kind of sizes them up a little bit. You got shrimp friends these days?
Everyone's got a place here and there. Thinking maybe Isabella would like to meet him. Is she here?
Yeah, Isabella's here. But she's in a bad mood right now.
Is she?
She's in a real bad mood, man.
Maybe I can lighten it up.
You know, Theo's not exactly he's working the bar and everything, but because she's in a bad mood, he's in a bad mood too. So I mean, this being your first time coming in tonight, so.
I get it. I get it. All right. Maybe I can make some cash tonight. That might help. And
I hope so.
Benji
Oh,
pats Dave's shoulder.
I don't want to be on you either. They're booking bad side. You kidding?
Me neither.
All right.
Yep.
Well, do they have? I don't. What is your plan tonight? You want to make some cash, right? Are they watching?
Yeah. Gonna introduce him to the ring.
We don't talk about that shit. You fucking know that.
Maybe if I'm getting in.
Kid. I don't know what I'm gonna do with you.
Yeah. Let me go down.
Alright, well. Just watch yourself.
Always do. Thanks, Dave.
Got it. And you, Tom and Urian, what do you do in the presence of Dave?
First, I end up taking a look and see that Tom is clearly out of sorts here. I'm out of sorts everywhere, so that's nothing new. But as I end up observing, I wait until Dave was his name, yes?
Mm.
He has a soothing voice, I see. So I give him a nod when I end up seeing him. I don't address him until he ends up addressing me, as clearly I am the guest here. And I take a moment to try and appreciate the atmosphere, for this truly is the personification of Brujah. It makes all the sense in the world that Benji would be coming here. Though apparently there is some form of fight. Did I understand that right? A kind of underground thing that is going on here. And Benji let that cat out of the bag. Or put the cat in the bag and threw it into the river. I'm not sure which.
Who's to know with Brujah?
Still. I will end up taking a step forward when David does look at me. If he's looking for fighters, I certainly do not qualify, but just maybe I know something he doesn't.
He just kind of eyes you up and down. What's your name, kid?
Josh.
Josh. I like it. Suits you. For a small guy.
Well, what can I say? Lower center of gravity. Advantage.
You wouldn't be wrong. You know a thing or two.
I've been forced to know a thing or two.
Well, you just might fit in here more than you think, then.
Perhaps. And this here, he gestures Tom. This is
Jim.
Doc T. We call him Doc T. He is here, but if he wants to be personable, then there you go, Jim.
Jim. I like it, Jim. Slim Jim. That's what you look like right now.
There was a man with the strange hat and weird glasses. Said "ooh yeah" a lot.
You're funny.
On occasion.
Got a funny accent too. I like it.
Like the place. Tis crude, which I think suits the goings on.
Mm.
After all, no point in putting up nice drywall if it's just going to have holes in it in 30 seconds.
We'll go over the rules soon.
But Benji's first time here, huh?
No, no, he's a regular. You kidding?
You made mention of first time.
Did I? I have issues remembering what I say now and again.
It's alright. Concussions do that.
Mm. Haven't had one in 10 years though, so I got a record. But Jim, you look like you're making faces.
Faces?
Yeah,
You mean?
you look like you're making faces about this place.
Oh, it's just not my style.
He goes to the same precinct as Carmen.
Same thing as Carmen.
Yeah.
Alright. I ain't gonna lie, that's a big old fucking hospital complex. There's plenty of people over there. But,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Kind of helps. We got at least an extra hand with the bandaging. After
mean,
I
not-
blooded them at least.
Not like we need it. Look, are you... Benji, I gotta ask you, are you fucking recruiting people? Is that what you're doing here right now?
Something of the like.
Did Theo ask you to do that?
Isabella.
Isabella. Alright. I ain't gonna argue with the lady.
She's got plans, man.
Plans? Who got plans for this shit? Anyway, get your fucking asses in here.
Benji kind of like skips down the stairs as Dave opens up the door.
Mm. And Dave actually kind of follows you all down, and you're led to a fairly wide space. But in the center is a ring that's mapped out with that's simply a platform. The platform is raised about 6 inches off the ground. It's square. There's no ropes or anything that are attached. It is just assumed that if there's fights going on here, it's on the platform. There's no seating around there. It's just a square room with a square ring in the center. And when you come down, it's basically empty. There's no one here just yet. And Dave just kind of pipes up and goes and says to you all, now, if you're gonna get involved with this, cool. If you're not, you're leaving right now.
Now, when you say get involved,
Like,
you mean
are you wanting to fight? Are you wanting to help? Or is Benji fucking pulling my leg again?
I. Well,
'Cause I don't want to have to
clearly
bust
you-
some kneecaps.
you know, I almost want to stay around just to see that.
Somebody who likes to watch a fight. All right.
Well, let's just say that Jim isn't particularly well adept when it comes down to handling blood splatter coming at him before operations.
Okay, okay.
So, but that being said, I have no doubt in Benji's ability to brawl with the best of them.
Mhm.
I
Myself,
have no intention.
oh,
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I have no intention fighting, but I am willing to help. Need need one.
All right. Then let me make it put you down some ground rules. You fucking this this right here is off the books. Everybody's paid cash when they win. They're paid in blood when they don't. Simple as that. Now, aside from that, we keep the police from looking into it because this isn't really a sanctioned, he says with air quotes, fighting ring. Say anything, snitches get stitches.
Benji just kind of nods behind Dave.
Am I and you? Am I and fucking you?
He smirks.
Charm nuts. Like you understand.
All right. So, simple enough. You want to spectate? You stay on the sides. You want to get in the ring? You talk to Isabella. Got it.
All right.
So, you didn't bring anybody to fight, did you, Benji?
Just myself.
You can't fight yourself, you dimwit.
Look, as far as I know, at least half the time, if not always, it's Isabella setting up the fights. So
That's fair.
I was
All right.
hoping maybe I could talk to her before the match.
I mean, there's not any that are planned for tonight, but you know what? These things do happen. I'll go get her. Like I said, she's in a bad mood. Do you really want to talk to her right now?
I have an idea that maybe I can get her in a good mood. Just gotta
All
smooth
right.
talk her a bit.
All right.
You know how it is.
Fair enough. And Dave goes back up the stairs to go and see if he can find Isabella.
Now, would I be correct in assuming that these are all kind affairs?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean,
Well,
except
it
for
either
me.
is or it isn't. That you really don't want to gray that line.
Okay. How about we put it like this? There's two people who are, and there's lots of people who aren't.
And the presumption there would be Isabella is not.
I got this idea. She kind of planted it in. Then maybe she wanted to meet you. He points to Urian's little pentacle bit. And that is why.
Mm. Isabella. I'm gonna end up making a quick roll because does that name ring a bell? I feel like it does. And I'm willing to burn a willpower on that.
Okay.
4
Okay.
successes.
4 successes. You know that there in this city are plenty of kind named Isabella,
Mhm.
but there's only a couple, maybe one or two kindred who are named Isabella and actually actively go by that name.
Mm.
One of which is a last name that might actually be familiar to you.
Mm.
Castile. Isabella Castile.
Castile. Ooh, where did I hear that one before? Brujah, right?
No.
No. Okay, Brujah Castile. Brujah Castile. That would make them.
You know, and Isabella Castile is a Ventru. You would know.
Ah.
She is. Let me just pull up something here. She is exceptionally good at maintaining her cool, and she is exceptionally good at cover-ups. You know this because she works very, very much in tandem with Randy in terms of keeping things on the down low.
Fantastic.
You also know one
Now.
other piece of information, being that you have 4 successes.
Okay.
Her sire is Dr. Antonio Castile. The reason you know that name is because there is another childer of this man.
Not on this turf, though. Okay. Now things are interesting. Now things are very, very interesting.
Benji just sort of raises an eyebrow at Urian's thinking face. So, what I was thinking is maybe if we could set up a couple matches, I could get Isabella and Tio in a good mood, and then get you all introduced. Maybe we could work out something.
Near as I can see this, Benji, in all due respect, it seems like you came here to have us instigate our own mugging and ordered to meet 2 individuals who, well, as far as I can see, we're meeting them on the worst possible of circumstances. So I have to end up asking, what exactly is in it for the doc?
Hmm. Depends. What you about, Doc?
Right now, I am, well, I'm learning. So, and if if you can give me some experience with this society, I don't sticking around.
Abandoning me already, huh?
No, not at all.
It is
We
a joke.
are
But nevertheless, Doc, here is the rub, to not put too fine of a point on it. You and I would be doing our Benji here a favor at our own expense. And since we're obviously not getting paid tonight, that implies Benji wants us to bleed. In which case, that would end up also implying that there's something in it worth the blood. Thus far, I don't see it. I'm trying. Help me with this one, Benji.
I mean, you kind of pulled that all together on your own. I was just told, go make friends. I can't tell you anything about socialites or whatever the fuck.
We'll see. Well, I guess people would have said that I've been. He kind of tries to crack his knuckles, and it's this weak, piddly, like. Takes like 5 or 6 squeezes before one just has this weak crack. I have to warm up. Just in case, of course.
I did not, unfortunately, I did not bring my doctor kit.
Oh, I'm sure they have a first aid kit somewhere around here.
You want
I
to
am
study, Doc? What do you want to study?
study. No, I mean if I need to stitch one up.
What? Kindred?
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, I can't necessarily say I'm gonna be popped open. But
Well, then
I
take care
can
of
show you.
yourself.
I can show you how a kindred pops things open.
I wouldn't advise that. You see a woman coming down from the stairs, and she's dressed in. She seems overdressed for the venue. Even she's dressed in a solid black dress, long sleeves, but it kind of cuts down a little low. Black hair and a very beautiful face.
It's at this point Urian straightens up while my cat's knocking stuff over. He straightens up and looks at Isabella and gives her a small bow. Isabella Castile, a child of Dr. Antonio Castile. It is a pleasure to end up making your acquaintance.
Forgive me, you have me at a loss, and you are.
Well, I introduced myself to your doorman as Josh, but I suppose, in kindness, I am Urian Doyle.
Yes, Urian Doyle.
Child of Jacques Colin de Plancy.
Interesting.
So I
Pardon.
made some friends.
And your first thought was to bring them here. I should have guessed.
Mm.
No, nevertheless, you are you are all welcome in this particular little bar.
We are honored to make your acquaintance then, Madame Isabella. And might I introduce Dr. Christensen? He goes by Jim.
Dr. Christensen.
He is a new arrival, I would imagine, much like Benji.
Huh.
Whereas you look after Benji's well-being, it is my job to instruct Dr. Christensen in the ways we end up expressing to one another.
Fair enough.
Do Tom like finally something nice is in the club?
Oh yes,
Can I
she is
appreciate the
absolutely
beauty here?
beautiful.
Yes, and well dressed and everything.
Mm.
You know, finally something proper. He does a very polite nod and yeah, greetings. What an absolute pleasure, you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Christensen. You wouldn't happen to work closely with the research school, the UT Health Science Center, do you?
Uh, do I don't I don't, right? I can't remember.
No, you said you set up private practice.
Yeah. No, I do not.
Hmm, it's a shame. It's a really, really wonderful research hospital.
Research in what?
Just about everything. It's kind of what it's famous for.
No specialization.
Forgive me if the facts slip my mind. I'm not nearly as tied into that, you see. That is more of my sire's cup of tea, not mine. So, Benji, are you looking for a fight tonight?
I figured maybe it would do some good. I got a little angst in me.
When do we all not? May I speak with you privately?
Certainly.
And so she
Yes, ma'am.
pulls you aside, and she pulls you a fair bit away in the corner and starts whispering in hushed tones. When I said make friends, I did not necessarily mean bring them here.
No? What, you want me to go to their place?
You're still a child, and I understand this. It is... This club, this thing, it's our special project, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So having outside eyes, especially kindred eyes, is not something that we want right away. This is still in development.
Ah. Okay. I see where I screwed up then.
That's why I told you to seek out Urian.
Well, shit.
It's fine.
We could... I mean... I had this idea.
Uh-huh.
What if we work something out?
Okay.
Say he's got this cult thing, right?
Yes.
And we got this fight club.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could, like, hook them up.
Hook them up.
Make them, like, one thing, you know? Like, people go to mass, and then they go to the other mass. Church. They're both church.
Oh, you're so delightfully one-track minded. I'll think about it.
All right.
What are your intentions for tonight? I'm a little bit confused.
I guess I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm looking to find out what would happen. Here I am.
All right. Um, well, Dave said something about that, and we don't have anything lined up right now. Not for tonight, anyway. So, unless you have plans to make some plans yourself, I'm a little busy with other matters.
Okay. You want me to start rounding up for the week?
Rounding up for the week?
Trying to find someone to fight? He starts smacking his fist in his palm.
You do realize that you can break walls now, right? Of
Well, I
course
mean,
you do.
yeah.
Of course you do. You've been embraced for about a year now.
Doesn't mean I have to break walls.
It's likely that it will happen, though. I know how short a fuse you have.
He just kind of like looks up, trying to pretend to be innocent. He's kind of like a small kid in trouble with his mom.
Try not to get in too much trouble. If you start breaking ribs and breaking the legs of people, we are going to have a talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I've got other things to attend to. Please try not to make a mess.
Yes, ma'am.
And she goes back towards Tom and Urian.
Can I have a moment with Tom?
Go for it.
Tom. Dr. Christensen, you are witnessed, whether you know not or not, to a miracle.
Oh?
Isabella and Benji. If you
Yes.
knew how rare it is for those of their own bloodlines to actually be communicating, to be working with one another. Especially if I read the situation right, for Isabella to be for Benji what I am to you, to Brujah. That is unique. Take note of it.
Has to be more. There has to be something beneath the surface of that.
You said you had good ears. Do you know what
Yeah.
they're saying?
I didn't ask for heightened senses because you said they went very far away, started whispering. So I don't believe I could have picked that one up.
With heightened senses, you can hear a fly buzzing in the attic upstairs if you wanted to.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
With like,
Well, then I would have used heightened
it's
senses.
scary good. It just depends on the dots
Okay.
you have, mostly.
Okay. Then I would have tried listening.
Okay. Give me a wits plus awareness. And I'm going to roll that versus her composure and subterfuge. Benji, will you also roll me a composure plus subterfuge as well? See how quiet you are.
Can I re-roll something?
You can always reroll if you want to spend willpower.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And how do I do that?
So you see the willpower bar on your
Yes.
character sheet? You see WP reroll,
Yes.
and there's a D20 right beside. Click it. It'll ask you how many dice.
And it's two, right?
And
Yep.
you can re-roll up to 3.
Yeah, because you have 3 normal dice, and if you want, you can re-roll successes if you want to try and avoid a bestial crit.
Okay. So I
So,
can re-roll up to 3.
Yep.
Yep.
Maximum is always 3.
Okay.
Ooh, that is in fact a
oh,
bestial
this is gonna
crit.
be fun.
Wait a second. So if I need to read this right, what have I what have I done?
You are now at 6 successes. You have
Okay.
bestial crit on your awareness check, which means if you wanted to, which means when Isabella starts coming back to you, you are going to be in her face and snarling
Okay.
because you would have heard what they were saying
Mhm.
without really telling Urian. Yeah, I think he's just going to simply walk away from you, Urian.
Mm. This will be interesting.
So yeah, you would have heard that conversation at least, and on a and so keeping in mind that this is a bestial crit, and now you are essentially very much in her face when she starts to walk she starts to walk back.
In what way am I in her face? Am I angry?
You you suspect that there's something else going on here. Your suspicions have just you're you're essentially acting on your suspicions. You suspect there's something else going on here and she's behind it. Something about her is just fucking weird and you don't like it, and Benji too, and so you need to get to the bottom of this. You
Okay.
need to get to the bottom of this.
So, what is this all about?
What is what all about?
Well, this whole thing. What is it you want?
This is simply a fight club.
As simple as that?
As simple as that.
Mm.
Benji steps closer to the two. Tom, you see in your peripheral that he's kind of like stalking up his shoulders.
Yes. I look to Ben.
Man,
So,
look,
good.
all I was looking for, I was thinking maybe since we're all kindred, what have you, maybe we could team up. Something like that. All right?
Actually, I think that would be a really good idea.
I just I thought it was a good idea. You got your church thing, and then we got this other church thing, and it just
Want
it's all
to
There's
mesh
church.
together.
Doctor, you did not tell me you go to church.
I did not.
But you do. Benji points to Urian.
Church? Whatever do you mean?
I... Benji just sort of slaps his hands against his side.
They know about. I heard them say something about church dealing.
So they know nothing of consequence then.
It's rude to eavesdrop, Mr. Christensen.
Well,
It's incredibly rude.
I apologize then. But I am suspicious when I come to a place that is downright filthy. Not pleased.
You can never judge a book by its cover.
No. No. Could make it a little bit nicer.
Benji flashes a glare at Tom.
Oh, how typical of a rose.
I am, yeah. I am very, I'm very, Tom is very uncomfortable.
Tom, one moment. Lady Isabella, might I request a tiny demonstration to illustrate your point to our dear uh, Mr. Dr. Christensen?
Something to illustrate my point.
Yes, about books and covers.
Hmm. Well,
Now, I would suspect that you are aged enough, and given the vocation, I would suspect that you are much more cast iron than the doctor would believe.
hmm.
Would this be accurate?
You would not be wrong.
Fantastic. I'm getting the impression like this place is built out of like 2x4s and cinder block stands.
It's pretty close. Maybe a little bit more upscale than that, but it's pretty close.
Okay. So he just grabs a spare board. Kind of just feels it out. He doesn't want anything that is going to cause like real permanent damage to Kindred, but you know, like something to get the point across.
Hmm.
Tom, are you are you intimidated by Benji here? Be honest. He is an
Yes,
intimidating fellow.
I am.
He offers the 2x4 to Benji. Benji, have you ever had the privilege, and do note that it is a privilege, to ever combat Isabella?
No.
Do you have any idea on how unbelievably tough this woman is?
I mean, maybe.
He gestures to he's pretty sure Isabella is picking up what he's putting down.
Hmm.
Like both of them have clearly probably underestimated her ability.
That's entirely likely. That's what she's thinking.
Yeah. Isabella, may would you allow him to attempt? He kind of itches the back of his head, but he really is tapping like she could take it to the back of the head and probably barely flinch. He made sure the board isn't too tough. So they probably would snap under enough weight, but
Hmm.
he wants to make this a very dramatic demonstration.
Benji.
I
Go ahead, Benji.
uh uh probably not. Nah, I'm good.
No, 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 no. Give it a swing.
I am giving you permission, Benji.
You sure?
Yes. I can handle myself.
All right.
Um, and just to emphasize the point, because I'm pretty sure Benji has thus far looked at Urian and wonder what kind of small fry is he dealing with. I'm going to use compel while he's looking at him, or while he's getting the impression. Swing.
Do I get a save against that?
Yes, you do. Let me actually look that up. Uh, look, let's see. That is dominate. Compel is to resist is versus intelligence plus resolve.
Okay.
And that's 4.
That is 4 successes. You have to beat that.
You use dupe willpower for this? Or no? Is it
Uh,
crits?
well, you roll the verses, which is intelligence plus resolve, and then you can use willpower if you want to re-roll anything.
All right.
Mm, you have 1 success.
Benji needs to
Yeah, Benji
crit in
needs to
order
crit in those
to.
other 2 in order to beat it.
Well, he already got the consent, so
So when you
Well, it's more of a case of Benji's body is now on autopilot, like out of body experience when Urian tells Benji to do it. That's the show of force that he's using.
all right.
so you go for the swing, and when you swing, are you giving it full beans?
He doesn't have a choice.
Well, you
Oh.
told him to swing, but you didn't tell him how hard. But that's not part of the compel. So you go to swing. Your body's on autopilot, and I suppose that would mean that you are swinging full beans. So give me a strength plus melee roll.
I'm sorry, Isabella. Oh, it's not that bad.
Okay. She's not dodging out of the way. So when you swing, it's full force, and you hit her as hard as you can. You notice she doesn't flinch. Instead, it looks like she didn't take any damage at all.
Just bust the board over her head and it turns into splinters.
It
Then
splinters,
she's
cracks, it falls apart against the back of her head. There may be a couple of splinters in the skin, but it's as if there is a cast iron suit underneath her skin.
Benji is kind of awestruck, but at the same time, he kind of had an idea. Kind of didn't.
Urian at this point looks to Isabella. Thank you very much, my lady. And then looks immediately back to the doctor.
I hope you were
So
entertained.
Doctor's jaw is hanging on.
Doc, Benji looks intimidating. Isabella's the one you need to worry about right now.
I can see that.
Now you can see that. What you need to learn to do is be able to see it beforehand.
How did you spot it beforehand?
Yes, Mr. Doyle, how did you?
First of all, you notice I made mention when Isabella ended up coming in that I addressed her as Isabel Castiel of Dr. Antonio Castiel. I know of her clan and her lineage. I also know
Very
that
astute.
I am also aware that most Ventru do not venture far away from their own personal strengths. In this case, why would a woman as beautiful as her have anything to do with fight promotions unless she herself has some form of itch? some form of ability. Those who are experienced in with the Ventru know that they are quite hardy and very hard to put down. So, given Isabella being the elder between the two, Benji, you have demonstrated some knowledge, but you have not demonstrated full understanding, or else you would not be coming out to make friends. So your must be either relatively thin or not as developed. No offense meant to you, but simple statement of fact. Between a Ventru who indulges in some form of physical activity and some form of enjoyment of the club, and a Brujah who needs to, well, find their own feet, the advantage goes towards the age in this call. The environment, the people, and even you, Doctor, in your expression to Isabella after they returned. Let me know all of this. I hope that that is the impressive display to you, Madame Isabella, in payment for the one you have provided just now.
You have certainly impressed me, Mr. Doyle. I think you and I should be great friends.
One can only hope. But that being said, I was asking around for ones of blue bloods, one of the blue bloods. But there was no mention of one in Delgato's domain. But I do know you work very closely with Randy.
I do. To my chagrin, my sire also does as well.
And I am sure you are a credit to both of them.
I would only hope.
So, Benji, that being said, with all this, where do you think I stand in this pecking order?
I think maybe you got a few tricks up your sleeve.
He looks to Isabella. He's more caring of Isabella's appraisal of Benji right now. Is Benji picking up what they're both trying to put down or not?
And she's watching him.
Benji's eyes. You're probably more settled than I initially thought.
I take that as high praise, Benji. Thank you.
It's
You honor me.
also bold of you to assume that he's very young.
Very small.
Size makes no difference among kindred. I've known age-old kindred who appeared to be no older than 12 years old. And yet they had the wisdom of the most aged.
That's true, I guess.
This is an eternity, Benji. You will eternally look as you do. Remember that appearances don't mean much, except as a social status.
Right?
You make the best impressions by giving your best appearance. But age means nothing in appearance.
Yes, ma'am.
You can see Tom is thinking that very carefully.
Well, now, Isabella, if I am to understand this, You are wishing for me to take Benji on as a pupil, as I've done for many. Do I understand this correctly?
He is. He is a good pupil. I believe that he would make a good asset to any coterie, but I would not presume as much. You and I hardly know each other. I would not presume to, quote, dump my child, I use that with air quotes, on you.
Air quotes. I never understood that term.
Hmm.
But I suppose I must learn it soon. Um, so, if that is to be the case, and if Benji wishes it, I would allow him a place to stay at rest during the dawn. I will try and educate him in the ways of San Antonio and kindred to the best of my knowledge and ability. In doing so, however, I am taxing my time and as well opening up my portion of domain gifted to us by Delgado to end up here allowing him to feed. Obviously, this becomes a little bit more resource intensive,
Of
if
course.
you will. So, what would you consider fair compensation for time and arrangement?
Hmm.
I trust in the Ventru to be shrewd but fair,
Hmm. And
especially amongst anarchs.
of course. For the moment, I don't exactly have anything that I can offer you. I don't know you well enough, but given given a few things that I do know about you, Mr. Doyle, I would
Such
say
as?
such as your distaste amongst the Christian community, specifically some of the patrons here, or rather the regulars, are part of what was it, Father Trent's congregation?
Ah, interesting. Such wayward souls.
Of course. I do know that it's a little bit sticky for you when it comes to Father Trent. He's not exactly silent about his distaste for you.
Mm, as I would expect. So, you are offering to remove this particular thorn from my side, or
A boon in that regard.
a boon in the service of the removal of one Father Trent?
Hmm. Unless you have bigger fish to fry.
Always, and there is one.
Hmm.
But that is a conversation I think the adults should have. Kind of looks to the two youngers.
Well, and she pulls out a business card from it's seemingly nowhere
Mm-hmm.
and places it in your hand. Should you
I
want
sense the unseen before she does so. You'd be amazed at the little things that can be used in a business card to track people.
nothing subversive. It's plain old business card.
Fantastic. He takes it with a small bow. Um, oh,
Mm.
If you do, however, happen to run across Kyle,
Kyle.
he'll be arriving in the city soon. If not already. One of yours, in fact.
Hmm.
Not of your lineage, but of blue blood standing. I have reason to believe that he will try and contact any blue blood he can.
Hmm.
In which case, we are going to quickly find out who is truest of Anarch and who is more about the clan than the cause. Loyalty, after all, is a virtue to be shared. But the question is where those loyalties lie. Not to imply, but to inform, as a gracious guest among magnificent host. Calhoun's grandchild will be arriving.
Hmm. I've heard that name. Seems to be going around a little bit more lately.
I'm sure of it. Oh, and children, if you do end up running across one Kyle Calhoun, feel free to eat him. And he says that completely straight face.
Or run. No one will ever think less of you.
Perhaps.
Hmm.
If there is nothing else, madame, I know you have work to do. And I think it's best to get Benji settled in for today. Congratulations, Doctor. You have a roommate. I'm sure you two will be the best of friends.
I'm sure they will. And that, I believe, is where we will call today's story.
Doc, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're horribly fucked.
Oh God. I. Holy shit.
Another nice part about having young kindred around you is when they make a mistake, you can capitalize on it. Now, Spectre, you did say you were going to hit something.
That's true.
You did.
Yeah. You got to be a little bit more careful with your wording next time. Like, I didn't mean to hit the person who's looking after me.
Uh, God.
She's a brick wall, man.
Oh, yeah. As soon as it's like Fight Club Ventrue, yeah, I know what her disciplines are without thinking, without needing to do much.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely, when Tom was squaring up with her, I thought I was gonna get in a fight with Tom immediately.
uh,
Oh, I would have loved to
that
see
wouldn't
that.
have been a fight, man.
Benji,
That would not even have been a fight.
man, you should. You
Are you
should.
kidding me? I think Urian would have a better time squaring off against Benji.
Probably. Because I looked at your stats, and yeah, Urian, you're a little bit better built than Tom is.
Yep.
Can't take it on the chin, but there's a high likelihood I can bring you down to the mat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway, so baby boy knows jack shit about politics.
Of course he doesn't. Because he's a weebab. We love him.
I know.
It's okay. I'll figure it out. Both me and Benji.
It's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Well,
Got a bit of a
Nervous
cage
laugh.
fighter. We got a cage fighter. We got the coach, and we got the med.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, got a little boxing team right here.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, now it is time for experience. Everybody gets one for just being
Yay.
here. And then there's the 3 bonus ones for who pushed the plot, who had the best one-liner, and who had the best scene. So, who pushed our plot the furthest?
Benji.
What, really?
Yes, you took that to the Fight Club and got basically us introduced to you. So I would definitely say Benji.
All right.
Okay,
Looks like Benji gets that one.
I'll take it.
Who had the best scene?
This is a wonderful board. It'd be a terrible thing to waste. 30 seconds. That's all it takes for Yuri to end up convincing you to bash your own mala upside the head with a 2x4.
God.
Yeah,
You're
I
saying
have
that
to
because
give.
because you're going, he's not wrong.
I'm a little mad about it. And to be fair, Benji is too. Uh,
Yeah,
But-
well, even the Beast wanted to see that one happen. That's what that crit tells me. Even the Beast is like, yeah, I'm in on this.
Yep, your beast was all about, yeah, get him to fucking hit her.
I do have one particular instance that made me laugh,
Mm.
and I've mentioned it in chat.
Oh, I'm not actually looking at chat, so.
Dave, what's your name, kid? Urian. Josh. I don't know why, but that tickled me. I
Yeah.
want to draw it.
Do it. Do it. I need it in my life.
It's like Urian, just this short dude, is like got like the priest robes. Like
Not
he's
even
fucking,
Joshua, just Josh.
like he's some fucking missionary.
I dig it. I dig it so much.
I thought you'd like that. I'm surprised you caught the missionary reference. Honestly, I'm surprised you caught it.
But who did have the best scene though? Are we is it a toss up between those two, or is it, what are we settling on here?
Oh no, I think we were settling on break over the head, and best line goes to Josh.
Yep.
I think that's what's being discussed here. Am I wrong?
That feels like it. Lori, insect.
Your
No,
insight into that.
I agree. Yeah, I completely agree.
All right.
Alright.
Then best scene goes to Benji for smacking his mala up the head, and best line goes to Urian for just
Say it like
Josh.
that, it hurts him.
But it's true. It's
Alright.
true though.
It's true, and I hate it.
I like Isabella.
I love her. I love her already. She's good. But yeah, that does it for our game for tonight.
Yeah.
What did you think? Comments, questions, critiques?
I am not gonna lie. I am going to be bragging for a little bit that I managed to, in the first session, get Benji to smack his mullah upside the head with a fucking 2x4.
Yes!
Like what? Yeah, you're damn right.
You're damn right. He fucking smacked
You
her upside
know
the
that
head.
I was sure you would get Benji to smack me. I was freaking.
Oh no! Because as far as I'm concerned,
Mm-hmm.
Tom probably thinks Isabella is more frail than him. So specifically, take the prettiest, smallest looking individual outside of myself, of course, and like, okay, here's this Fight Club coordinator who comes in all dressed in beautiful gown, makeup, long black hair, absolutely a beauty of the night. Ben, wrap a 2x4 upside her head. What? Go ahead. And she's like, bring it, bitch. like, I do not underestimate her.
How older vampires flex on each other.
Yep.
Well, I think it's more us flexing on you two. Like, all right, let, let, let's remind let's remind the youngin that while he might be able to, lift a
Punch a brick
car,
wall. Yeah.
you know. See, the thing about Benji is the hardest part is not getting him to start throwing punches. The hard part is getting him to throw punches at the right time at the right person. That's going to be the hard part.
Or stopping to throw punches.
Oh no! You don't stop it. You just get the hell out of the way. I've learned that could be a mistake Tom makes. Yuri is just I'm gonna let him wear himself out. That's really all that can be done right now.
It's like a 2-year-old. He just starts swinging, screaming, and you just let him do it.
Especially given the things that we've talked about, Spectre.
Oh, yeah, huh, yeah.
Secret spoilery shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna laugh because I'm pretty sure the first illustration is gonna be Josh. Second illustration is gonna be 2x4.
Do it, Spectre. I need it.
Just evil acting in the background.
Or Derek, one of you. Yes, but I appreciate y'all. Do you have any critiques for me as the storyteller? Do you have any things?
Okay, the thing I liked about this, and I think you need to start doing a little bit more, truthfully, is just because you're doing it, and I do this all the time, and I absolutely love it because sometimes it won't turn into anything. Sometimes it gives context to a situation, and sometimes it's actually long-term plot relevant. But just things other people say to people who might be outside of the know or outside of the conversation, and it's like, take this information what you will and run with it, right? See what you can break out. I love social interactions where I'm not sure what the hell's going on, and I got to break it down in order to end up starting to get leverage on the situation. I love those. Like, those are just microcosms of what vampire is for me in the entire thing.
Sometimes I'm not even sure I'm aware of what I'm doing. I just do the thing.
Yeah, but like, just a simple example was Dave. I loved what you did with Dave. I loved what you did with Dave. I loved what you did with Isabella. Tom, just a bad time to crit. Twice.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you were
I had
about
to
to
act
flex
it
on
out,
somebody much older than you.
Right? Yeah. But it was forced, so I just had to do it. Like there was no way going back there.
But you see what I mean about vampires? Like, that beast can come up at any fucking moment.
Yep.
Any of them, and you don't know when, and you better be ready. Ironically, one of the things I found, here's a weird thing. As you get to larger dice pools, especially in stuff that's social, you want a high willpower. Not because you want rerolls for more successes, but you need to reroll what normal dice crit to avoid a bestial crit. So, for instance, like the last time where I did the compel, if I didn't want to bestial crit, I have to choose to spend a willpower and reroll the crit. Right? It might drop me by It might drop me by 3 successes, but I'd rather drop the 3 successes than, well, go up to Isabella and start mouthing off in her own club, while the biggest, meanest son of a bitch she's got in her entire stable is standing right beside her.
Well, I did back down.
Yeah. Oh no, I was looking at this and I'm going, well, Tom just got eaten.
Well,
Benji, I was going to have you roll a freaking fancy check at one point if you.
I seriously was like, okay, no, like that's probably going to be the trigger for Benji right there. Is like when
Stepping
people
up
are,
on Isabella.
yeah, that's a trigger for him.
Mm. All right, I will take
I
it.
can't wait for when that turns into. Yeah, you know what? Somebody rolled up on Urian. I'm gonna roll a frenzy check. I didn't call for one. I'm rolling a frenzy check.
That's
I want to
fair.
get in like that. I
Yeah.
want to get in like that with Benny.
Yep. Do it.
Do
Would
See
it.
that
If
that
you
Just a
family
question:
feel.
would I have been able to like burn a willpower to keep myself on the check?
Earlier on, no, because you
because it's
burnt
not
the
a frenzy.
willpower, and it was your willpower that caused the frenzy,
Yeah. Okay.
It
Okay.
wasn't a
right?
frenzy to begin with. It was just a
Yeah.
bestial
Or
crit.
not the frenzy, but a bestial crit. It was your willpower reroll that actually caused it, so you can't reroll afterwards.
No. Okay.
So, like a simple example, right? Um, the whole politics thing. When I critted on that, if I wanted to avoid the crit, since one of my dice is normal dice is causing the crit, I can reroll that and avoid the crit or have a chance to.
Okay.
Sometimes the beast just needs to be let out.
Sometimes that's the roll of the dice, man. The beast
Yeah.
is what is embodied by the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I was the reason why I said it was when when saw some of the uh the what is it by night
LA by night.
L.A. or
yeah,
yeah,
when sometimes when they go into or they go into frenzy or something like that, they can use like they use a willpower to have another round where they
That is actual
control
frenzy.
themselves.
that's actual
That is
That
frenzy,
is
not a
actual
actual
bestial crit.
frenzy.
frenzy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's when
Okay.
you completely lose your shit. You are no
Hmm.
longer there. You are kind of forced into the back of your own eyes, and you get to watch what happens.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
A bestial
What this
crit is that the beast surfaces for a mere moment, does a thing, and is backed off.
Okay.
Yeah. It just kind of wants to say, okay, we're doing this now. I don't have patience to do it the way you want to because it's this easy. Done.
Yeah,
Like, I'm picking a lock. Well, the beast doesn't know you're picking a lock. The beast knows you want to get in through the door.
because it's reading your
So it's
thoughts. Yeah, it's more your thoughts.
so I want to go into the door. Well, the beast has an easy way to do that. Let's rip the door off.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Right?
was
Yep.
also why I asked how how I needed to act
Yep.
compared to because I was a little unsure what I needed to do in that scene.
Yep.
But I
Yeah.
did act it out. I did do the right thing, right? I
Yep.
was angry or whatever.
Typically, what happens is what I see happen in many other games is that the storyteller will drive the character during a bestial crit or the frenzy, and
Yeah.
that is what happens canonically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I described that you got up in Isabella's face and that you needed to get to the bottom of this, that was an instance of that.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
case of
Okay.
a full frenzy, I would be driving your character with rolls and everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, I'm learning, so
Yep.
it's yep.
No, that's fantastic.
yep.
Um, the big thing is that uh, when it comes down to the beast, right? The hardest part is with letting players run it is players have a bias
Mm,
on how they want it to go, right?
yep.
The ST has to try and be bipartisan or at least make sure it's interesting.
Mm,
So that's the hard part.
yep.
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I have to give it. Welcome back, Spectre. Good to see you here again.
Yes. Welcome back,
Um,
Spectre.
Lori, glad you're here.
And we
Thank
will
you.
be continuing this chronicle next week with episode 14. And I hope you all had fun.
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. I'm glad. That's the important part. We're having fun.
Nah,
But yeah. Thank you all for you in the audience who have come to watch. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to log out for now. Tomorrow and Friday, we will be doing some more drawing in the Caffeine Fix. Probably some more D&D art. So hope you all come and join up for that. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.